Hey, Mommy. Welcome to the Mami Collective Podcast. I'm Paulina Roe, and this is your space, the No BS All Vibes podcast for ambitious moms who know that motherhood and big dreams go hand in hand. Whether you're killing it in the boardroom, hustling on your side gig, or just trying to get through the day without reheating your coffee for the third time, and yes, girl, we've all been there, this is the place for you. We're here to flip the script on the whole you can't have it all narrative, because spoiler alert, you can. Motherhood doesn't dim your ambition, it actually fuels it. And we're going to talk all about it, the wins, the struggles, and the moments that make you say, damn, I am really doing this. So buckle up, boo. We're diving into real talk, inspiration, and the occasional hot take to keep you fired up and thriving. This is the Mami Collective. Let's do this. We're gonna do it all. We're recording. We are ready to go. I have Miss Arabel Rosales here. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to have you. You and I go way back. We literally just talked like 2 months ago.
Yes.
For Runway Latinx.
Yes.
You are the fashion show. The what's the official title of it? I want to say it correctly.
So Runway Latinx.
Okay.
We say we're fashion, gastronomy, mixology, and entertainment. So
oh my
we have
God.
a little bit of all of it. Yes.
I love it. And like the
this
official.
was our 5th year.
5th year.
Yeah, which is so exciting. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, we were here talking about it, but then I was like, you got to come back and we have to do a podcast interview for Mami Collective, which is obviously a community that I created, this podcast and events and things like that I'm doing for, I call it for the ambitious mom, right? So it can be any kind of mom that just still feels called to do things that make her happy, right? And whatever that is, if it means you're going to be at home sewing blankets, that makes you happy, or you're running a multi-million-dollar business while being a mom, because at the end of the day, it's hard for all of us.
Yes.
This mom thing is hard.
Yeah, no, we love that you do this. I told some
you.
of my friends I was coming on, and they're like, oh, she's fabulous. And,
oh my gosh.
And it's great because you're opening doors in the mind that maybe we hadn't thought of, or that we want to feel comfortable in, and so you're allowing us to be comfortable in that space.
Oh, it's so sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, no, so thank you.
I'm grateful for you and for all the moms that listen, interact, and just I don't know, are part of my village, and now that I'm a mom too, I'm learning about this village, the so-called village.
Yes.
And I'm like, but you know what? I think maybe in 2024, it's maybe different, right, than when like our moms or grandmas had. And I see it differently. And obviously we're going to talk about your journey, because I'm sure that your village too looked different, because you have a daughter and she is 20.
She's in her 20s now, believe it or not. I can't believe it because I look at it, but I am so grateful for her. Today I'm going to be in a magazine or whatever, and I had mentioned it to her.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I had mentioned it to her, and she said, what time do you want me there tomorrow at the reception? She texted me last night, and I said, honey, you don't have to come. I know you're so... No, I'm coming. My mom's in a magazine. I'm going to come. And she goes, I'm going to stop in, and then I've got to go do volleyball. She goes, but no, I'm going to be there. So I'm so grateful for that. She's doing really well in her life, and we have kind of grown up together, I feel, and it's a close bond. I just love it. I am so grateful for her every single day, and she's a tough cookie because we, like all of us, go through tough times, and she was there for all of it, and always just very supportive. And I hope I've been that way for her. But yeah, it's a great thing. I think having children is an honor. Not everybody gets to do it, but it's something we should be grateful for every day.
I love that. And she's beautiful, too. I've met her before. Your daughter's
Alina.
gorgeous.
Her name is Alina.
Alina.
Yes.
So I want you to take us back. And also, one more thing I want to say about you doing this podcast is that, and I could be wrong, but I feel like a lot of people don't see the side of you. I never did. I knew you were a mother because you've told me, and I've met your daughter. But when I think of you, obviously, I think of businesswoman, entrepreneur. I mean, like, you do it all. Fashion, like literally so fashion forward. And now I'm seeing a different side, I think, or we're going to be able to see a different side of you. And I think that's like so cool that you're doing this. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you. This is a very important side of me. And I do want to say that it was very strategic because I am known on social media, and I do media, and, I'm out there. But it was strategic. My daughter and I discussed it when she was young, and she did not want to be on social media.
Really?
She does little social media now. It's very effective when she does it.
Of course.
She is attractive and smart and all that other stuff. But we talked about it because, your family is very precious, and so you have to make a decision. So I was not the type that wanted to put all baby pictures and stuff like that out there because I felt protective of her and, married early and got divorced. And so she was younger when we initially got divorced. And both her dad and I kind of made that decision. And then she was brought into the decision, do you want this? And I think that's a question you should ask your children when they're old enough to figure out what they want. And so from our perspective, it was not something, and some people love it. I have this child, but I was kind of protective in that way, and she did not want to be out on social media. So people that know her, because she would go with me to events or be involved. So she's been involved for a long time. Know her because of personal interaction, and they've seen her grow up. And it's kind of funny because she says, I run into people all the time. And after COVID, it was a little tough because she hadn't seen these people for a while. And they would say, I knew you before you were born and when you were in your mom's tummy. And she'd be like, who is this person? Because I haven't seen them now for a while. But they know of her and knew her growing up. And so on a personal level would know her, but not through social media or not through media. So that was just a conscious decision that we made. I think it worked for our family. But everybody makes their decisions differently based on, whatever. So.
I love what you said because I'm such an advocate of like what works for your family, what works for you.
Yes.
I'm on the same page. Like I obviously do like radio and media and stuff, but then I'm like, I love posting her photos, especially I'm a goofy mom. So like if it's like a funny picture of her, she makes these faces now where she scrunches and she looks so funny. Yeah. And I'm like, I want to post them. And I do a couple, but there's so much stuff I don't post of her. Yeah. And I'm like, am I still being able to like, I don't know, like show her to the world that I'm proud of to have her? Yeah. Of course I am. But at the same time, like I'm so scared of the world and social media. And that's just the truth, you know? As a mom, like you said, I'm so protective. So I battle with that because I want like my followers and the radio listeners to see my daughter grow up with them, right? Like grow up with me and all of us. But then I'm like, I don't want to post her. So I struggle with that a lot. And I appreciate you saying that because like it made me feel guilty for a little bit. I'm like, should I be posting her more? But I don't really want to. Yeah,
it's your decision. And then, there's ways of post. Again, 20-year different, right? So it's a big difference. Back then to now. But I think there's ways also of posting where you're sharing enough, but not so much that you're giving away everything, right?
100%.
So, yeah.
That's true, too. I guess there's a boundary, right? There's a line.
Yeah, so you have to figure it out with your family, what works for you.
Yeah.
What works for your child. So, I've always been involved publicly, as you said, business-wise, politically. I've done a couple of transition teams for some governors, and also, with the whole fashion or the whole social media or media side of it. And so there's a lot of good, I always, when I pray for people that follow me or that I follow, I say friendly followers because there are many that may not be friendly. Yeah. And so I'm still very protective. And so even now I ask her, is this okay? Like, we'll take some pictures or we'll do something together and I'll be like, is this okay that I post this? I check with her all the time. I'm very respectful of what she wants and what she wants to show in her life as well. We check with each other all the time.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It's just being respectful.
Yeah.
But when it's a baby, it's your choice.
Yeah, I mean, true, right? I can ask her, but she'll just look at me.
Like yeah, all right, Mom, whatever you want.
Literally, like, I want a snack.
Just exactly.
So funny. Oh, I love that. So take us back, right, to when you pretty much had your daughter, right? I mean, at that time of your life, I mean, what were you experiencing? What were you going through? What was your postpartum experience like? Did you have help and everything? You were still working? I remember you told me a story that I would love for you to share.
Yeah, I was still working. I actually worked my way through school, being in government, and then I very young age became the director of the Liquor Control Commission for the state. I was in government. I wasn't an entrepreneur, and I was the first woman to be in that role. So it was a statewide role. And it was interesting because when I became pregnant, I decided since I had so many men working for me, and a lot of them were state troopers, and a lot of them had not worked for a woman at that time.
Oh, wow.
So now they're going to work for a pregnant woman. And so I decided to put a strategic plan with my inner staff of how we were going to roll out me still running, our department and being a mom. So I had to put a strategic plan because you've got to think, people, not everybody's comfortable with the way you run your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think having a plan of action first and then sharing it with people of how it's going to work and it's not going to affect them. And I know this sounds so silly, but obviously there's still a lot of men out there that are not used to women being in positions of power.
I mean, true.
So we rolled that out, and then I announced, that I was going to have my daughter. We had a whole plan of action. And then it was after that I decided to leave government and become an entrepreneur. So at the same time, I think I shared with you that I had already, as I was leaving and my daughter was already, a year or 2 years old, I had decided to go to law school.
Mm.
And so I called my team. So my team, I was married at the time, but my close team I've always found to be my family. And I do think that people should create a team of some sort. Either your family, very blessed I have them here, especially my mom, or close friends, or your husband, or your boyfriend, or girlfriend, or whatever. But try to create a team if you can, or hire one if you have to, whatever. But I think you do have to have one. And I talked to them and I said, I don't think I can do this law school thing. I mean, I have a little baby and how am I going to do this?
Wow.
And your hormones for a while are totally screwed up, right?
Yes.
You don't know what's going or coming, and sometimes you get brain fog. I still get brain fog. It's like
literally every day. I'm like,
what?
uh-huh.
And so I didn't make that decision by myself. I really kind of called in my team, and they helped me, and whether to pursue it or not. And then I got accepted to several law schools with scholarships. It was that was interesting because I actually said, no, I'm not going to do this. I can't do this. It's too much. And then I started getting these calls with offers for scholarships for school.
God.
And I said, is this a sign? Like, should I be doing this? Bottom line, I called in the team again, like, what should we do? Can we do this? And everybody's like, no, we can do this together. We'll all help. And I think that was, at that point in my life, the best decision because my daughter kind of grew up learning that she had to learn. She was always reading. So she did very, very well in school. And I think it's because she felt that was a natural state of being, that you always had to have books in your hand or, on a computer or whatever. She was by my side. And then, but I have to tell you that at that early stage in her life, it was a very confusing time for me because there were so many changes that were going on that had to take place. I started a business. My personal relationship was kind of rocky, and there were just a lot of things going on. And then I was going to law school. So they say that one of those things are life-changing, and I kind of didn't take them on. It was just kind of thrown on. It was what you're given. And so I think that one of the big lessons for my daughter, and she is very much this way, is that as much as you try to plan your life and vision and I believe in manifestation and creating, whatever you want. The universe sometimes wants to take you, or God or whatever you want to, in a different path in order for you to get there. There's still lessons maybe that you have to learn or whatever. And so early on, I think she saw me, taking on whatever was given and try to put it in the best light and with as much strength, inner strength as possible, while at the same time taking care of your family. And it was funny because she's very much that way. She just started a new position. And I said, I was really worried because like a year and a half ago, you were here and you were going through this, and that. And she said, what are you talking about, Ma? She said, I always saw you. She goes, you took it on and you just handled it. She goes, you never cracked. She goes, so, she goes, so that's what I learned. You just take it on, you give it 150%, and you get through it and you do it in the best way possible so that it elevates you. And she's doing great now. She got a new position, and it warmed my heart because, I guess if I look back at that time, it was such a difficult time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what am I projecting to this child? I'm going to project the best that I can, right? But you don't know if you're always doing that. And the one thing I do want to say is that children at a very early age, I think as soon as they're born, they feel your energy. 50% of you is in their DNA.
Yes.
And one of the things I tried also to do, and her father's a great father and, always been involved in her life and everything, is to not forget that she's got 50% of somebody else, in there. And so treat them with respect as well, as much as you can. People get angry or whatever,
Right.
but your children pick up on all that. And so I think in the long run, it is hard in the moment, but as much as you can try to do that, it'll help them be a more whole person, right? And feel more complete about themselves.
I
So
agree.
it's tough to do, easy to say, but tough to do. But yeah, it was one of those periods of time, the best of my time, because I've got to tell you, I think I fell so in love with Alina when she was born. You know how it is.
Yeah.
You're so in love. It's
100%.
like so hard to describe that level of love or the deepness of it. No,
I literally can't.
yeah, you can't. You can't describe it. And while at the same time, whatever hit the fan.
Yep. Shit hit the fan.
I don't know if I could say it on
no,
the
you
air.
totally
Okay.
can. No, it's true. It's like
Yeah.
you're in love. You're like this feeling, right, of just like happiness and warmth and just, I don't even know what to call it. And then you got like the other side of you, which depends, right, on your postpartum experience or whatever you're going through at home and just like life, and yeah, you could be falling apart at the same time, which is wild that you could be doing both things or feeling both, right?
Yeah.
Being so in love with this little human, this baby, this a part of you, right? Part of your. I heard this saying one time. It was that your kid is your heart outside your body.
Ah.
And I think it's so true.
Oh, wow.
Literally
Yes,
your heart
yes,
outside of your body. And I was like,
yes.
ooh, now I get it. But then I'm like, oh, then I got other shit hitting the fan on this side.
Yes.
I'm a mess. And I'm like, I'm not showered yet, all week. And all my hair's, I'm like, oh, and I'm just, falling apart. But I think because of the village, which you mentioned that you had too, and I think other things, they do help. They do help a lot.
Yeah.
Made the experience
They
better.
do. I mean, it was interesting because prior to my daughter being born, or to Alina being born, like, I didn't even tell her I was going to come on this radio show, but Alina, everybody's going to know your name.
Oh.
No, and they do. I mean, people know Alina now. Like, I have events that I do for Pivoting in Heels, for example. I was so proud the other day. We have an annual tea that we do, a ladies' tea.
Yes.
At London House that
Yes.
gets sold out every year. This year we're doing it in April. And this year I got very sick, very, very sick.
no.
I couldn't see. I literally was blind. My eyes got scratched somehow, and she had to take me to the emergency room
my
the night
God.
before, and I couldn't see. And so I sat there, and our team is very good. We go over stuff like a million times.
Right.
So then we just roll things out. I'm just very, attention to detail on everything. And so we had gone through everything, but this happened the night before, and took me to the emergency room. I literally couldn't see. I was blind.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so we came back and I said, I can't do this event tomorrow. You're going to have to do it. You're going to have to host it. And she had attended all the events and stuff before. She knows, again, it's a whole team of people because we had committee leaders, we had our inner team. And I said, they're all going to be there to support you. And I'm literally giving her kind of the words, the speech, and, what she has to say and the timing and everything without being able to see. So she's writing everything down. And the next day she calls me and she goes, are you sure you can't do this? And I said, I cannot. I can't see.
Right.
I cannot see.
Oh, it's
I said,
tough.
it's
I'm
going to be
sorry.
more uncomfortable for them also because my eyes were super swollen. It was just
Right,
bad.
of course.
Right? So she handled it magnificently. And all of the committee members, which are leaders and, women leaders that were there, and then the people that participated, they all supported and they came out and talk about women empowerment, right? So, I was very happy to see that. But, that's the kind of team that you want to build, not only for yourself, but for your family as they're, going through things or as you're going through life. You've got to, I think, with your children, help them understand that these teams of people, of humans, are going to help them be successful. And so I think part of it was because there was a need to do so, because there was so much stuff going on in my life. But I'm grateful for that, because that allowed me to show her at a very, very early age that you don't do things totally by yourself. You can, but then you're limited. But the ripple effect that you have by creating these teams and working with them and, surrounding yourself with amazing people that, are there for you and you're there for them.
Yes.
And now she does that naturally, right? And I continue to do that. I'm so grateful. I think the other thing is that, we all learn from each other, right? I think people forget. We do it a lot with social media now, because we're looking right at social media, what schools to send them to, what doctors, et cetera, et cetera. But also, and I think that's why it's important, like the sports or the different activities, for you to go and you to participate and talk to the other parents, because you're going to learn so much from them, and you're going to get information that otherwise you may not get directly on social media, because they'll be honest with you. They're not trying to get followers or anything else.
That's true.
They're going to be true with you and say, that is not where you should be sending your child. I had this experience or that. So I think learning from each other that way, and you physically participating and being a part, and getting that feedback is, as a parent, extremely, especially as a mom, extremely important.
You pointed out a couple things that I think are extremely important as well. And you're basically, to me, what it sounds like is your daughter really followed by example of her mother. And that's one thing that I worry about a lot, right? Because I think, especially like us working moms or moms who are doing other things as well in life, is that we're afraid we're not giving enough to our kid, or we're not giving enough attention, we're not there enough, aka the mom guilt. And I love your story, and I love that your daughter really just grew up to be an incredible just woman in general. But she's just honestly, she reminds me of you, the way that you're talking about her. She just sounds so much like you in terms of like her profession and her being able to kind of just do what you do. And to me, that's always been one of my fears, right? Because I do have moms who are like friends who are moms, and they're, I feel like, home with their kids more. And it makes me, and I hate this comparison thing, and I know you do too. And I'm like, do I suck as a mom because I'm not there as much or whatever? But I'm like, and yeah, she's a baby. I get it. She doesn't know where her freaking nose is right now. But I want her to watch me do these things and grow up. And yeah, do I want her to be proud of me? Of course. But I want her to watch and understand that, she can pursue things in life as well, and that it does take dedication, it takes time, right? It takes effort, and I want her to see that, but I also I want her to be a part of it. And I feel like you kind of had your daughter be a part of your, like you said, we were kind of we grew up together. Yeah. And I kind of want that.
Yeah. I don't know if this gives you any comfort, or if this gives moms and dads that are listening any comfort, but so I tend to be a very spiritual person. I mean, that's a whole other side we can talk about. And obviously there's different beliefs and stuff, but one of the beliefs that I hope is the truth is that that your child picks you. Your child picks the parents.
I've heard that, and I love it.
And the reason is because those parents are going to give them the experiences that they need to become the individual that they're supposed to become.
Yes.
And so with all the good and the good, I'm not going to say good and bad, because it's it may be rough, but I think in the long run it's still good. That gave me comfort, because I think all of us feel guilty. I mean, at some point or another, how could you not? Because you do see people doing it differently, but you know what? This is my life, and if she chose me, if she chose these parents, we're going to give her the best we can, but this is what we have, right? This is the life. And so that gives me a lot of comfort, and I think in the long run, it has proved to be the best path for her. she is her own person. She is unique. We don't agree on everything. And a lot of times I'm more of an observer and learning now. Now, roles switch, right? Because I learned from her so much. But yeah, that gave me a lot of comfort. I do want to share, like, prior to having my daughter, one of the things that I did, and it really helped me too. Again, this was 20 years ago. Is preparing for her was a big deal for me because I had so many things going on, and because I'm A-type and involved like you in a million things and wanting to be successful and this and that. So I really made the point. I've meditated for most of my life, but I used to meditate every day in the morning and at night, and I still do, but with the concept that my life was going to benefit her. And so I would literally like visualize that everything that I did, was going to make her healthy and intelligent and, a good person, right? So that was like my meditation. And it was funny because my poor doctor, God bless her, she was like, I didn't gain a lot of weight actually with Alina. She was very, very healthy, but everything that I ate was good for the baby. Okay. Like I became a little bit obsessed about that. And I would exercise enough every day so that, I read all these books and did everything. And the Harvard studies had come out on actually how good it is for you to meditate, and both to heal your body, but also for your child and your baby and stuff. Right. And so I read everything under the sun, and then I applied a lot of it. But I remember one time, I came in and then she goes, well, would you want to gain a little bit more weight or whatever? You can eat cookies. And
not the cookies.
And I said, I'm not going to eat cookies. That's not healthy for the baby.
No.
It was very funny. And it wasn't about gaining or losing weight. I wanted to be really, really healthy. And Alina came out very, very healthy, thank goodness. But everything that I did was like focused on her, her being healthy and everything, because I had so much more going on in my life that I wanted to make sure that part of what I was doing at the optimum. And I think that in the long run, that really helped as well. It helped me calm myself because you get so nervous. I don't know about you, but I was nervous when I was pregnant. Am I doing everything right and everything else?
Every day.
So I would dedicate that time and then kind of check on myself that, yes, I was doing it as best as I could. Was it 100% perfect? No, but I was doing everything, eating, exercising, meditating, thinking, even calming myself down, right? So that you don't have that much stress. I wasn't obviously drinking. I reduced, certain things that they told you.
Of course.
Things have changed, what they tell you you can do when you're pregnant or not. But for the most part, I think that helped me stay calm and really focused on that part of what I was doing, that I was going to become a mom, that I was doing it the best that I could. So if moms are able to do that, and I did it being really busy too. Yeah. But I think it's like any other thing, right? When you're in it, you're in it 150%. And at least that helped me. And I think that helped with her being born, very healthy and everything being all right, and me setting a good foundation for her.
I agree. I mean, really, like, starts in the womb. Or there's a book that I actually did read and look at. It starts with the egg, I think it's called. Yeah. That's a really good book. And that's actually, I don't know if it's more geared, but it definitely talks about the fertility part of it, of like getting pregnant and having the best egg quality and everything. It's a really good book. I recommend it. I think it helped me. That's my hot take. But every little thing mattered too, like not to eat like out of plastic or like use like utensils when you cook in certain pots and pans. Yes. It's just wild.
Yes, it's wild. It's wild. You don't think about it otherwise, but it's great because you learn so much also, right? Of what's out there you don't realize. And you become so protective, I think, right? You want to protect that child that is inside of you so much. And so But I think that is really helpful in the long run because then you're setting up a really good foundation for you to build on once they're born.
100% agree. I want to dive into two things with you that you mentioned that were so good. By the way, like I'm loving everything that you're saying. This is a different side of you, but I love it because it's just like it's so natural for you, and I can tell that obviously being a mom is a huge part of who you are. But my question is, you call yourself type A. It's funny because I'm type B, so like I do a million things, but like I swear to God, like my head was not literally on my body. It would be across the hall right now. Like I wouldn't know where my head is. Like it's so bad. But like I can tell that you are like there's organization behind what you do, right? And like you're very on time. Like it's just how you are, right? And I love that. So now having a child. Kids are unpredictable.
Oh yeah.
And we think like at least I thought. I mean I'm not doing too bad yet, but I thought there was going to be certain things that I would be doing with her. As silly as it is, I was like, oh, I'm going to be carrying her on the, how do you call it? When you put like a carrier on?
Oh, yeah.
When you baby wear. I thought I was going to be doing like all my stuff and being like this like mom on the go with my kid strapped on me. She won't go in that thing.
Oh, no.
So that was out the window.
Right.
So now I'm like, well, reroute. What are we going to do?
Right.
So like, I'm not type A, but in my head, I was like, there's things that like we're going to do. And like, she's going to do it with me. She's going to sleep anywhere and everywhere. She will fall asleep. Yes. But she's a routine kid. She's got to have her sound machine, the sleep sack, and she's got to go in her crib. Like, that's just the best naps that she'll take for me.
I love that you know that, though, that you've got that down. That's a big deal.
True.
That's like huge.
That's true.
Huge.
But in my head, I was like, oh, no, she'll sleep. Like, I'll be typing and she'll be right next to me. She'll be sleeping. Yeah. No, she won't. So my question is, being that kind of person, right, prior to kids, how did you manage, right, when your daughter was being unpredictable in the moment and it wasn't going according to maybe the plan that you had or you thought you had?
Yeah. I think this about me as well. Like I'll envision and plan and, get it all, whatever. And then I let go.
Oh.
I let go.
But that's manifestation too.
Yeah,
right?
that's part of it, right?
Yeah.
And that was the thing with my daughter. And that has to be the thing with the kids, right? Because they are who they are. And they come in with their plan, whatever that is, right?
100%.
It was funny because I remember even having a new home at the time that we had just built, and then she was born, and I had, all these things like, oh, this is where the diaper is going to get changed, and all these little details, and then having the whole place childproof, and they had these stairs, and so having the stairs, done in such a way where she wouldn't fall or slip or anything else. Mm-mm. My kid would be at the top of the stairs and would say, like she would not go down. She's I don't know why, but she's one of these kids that has always protected herself.
Okay.
Would never, I don't know, instinctively knew that a light socket was not something, she should even go near, and would make you come and get her down the stairs.
Really?
Like would look at it like, no, this is going to hurt me. I don't know how.
Interesting.
Would not go out tub unless you touch it. Like she wouldn't.
Oh my God.
Like, no. Like
So
before she
interesting.
could talk. So
Yeah.
she is who she is. And yeah, you have all these plans of all these things that you purchase because you're going to do
Yes.
it this way and that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I have been, not always, it's something I had to learn along the way. And luckily before I had her, that you let go. You have all these plans, you do the best you can, you think you've got, and then there's a bigger plan there, right? And 100%. So you've got to kind of let it go. And especially as a parent, you learn that. Because you could try to force them, but they're not going to do it.
No.
You know what I mean? And it's going to come bite you back at it if you try to force them, especially when they're little, because some of them like to sleep anywhere, right? They take a corner and they just sleep,
Yes.
right? And some of them need a certain structure. She's going to come in and teach you structure, right? It's like,
Honestly, yeah.
They come in and they teach you things that you otherwise wouldn't know. Like, I'm not as careful as she instinctively was.
Yeah.
I take care of stuff, but it was like, this kid innately knows how to protect herself. Like,
that is so rare.
It's so funny, but that's the way she was. Now she, I don't know. She's a little like that, but not so much, right? But you've just got to go with it, because all, good plans go out the window with a child because they know what they want, right? Or you're all dressed up and you're going to go to work and my mom would come over and whatever, and she's going to stay with her for a little bit, and I'm going to run off to a meeting, and they throw up all over you.
I'm
right?
waiting for that day. Yeah, it's coming. I know.
Yeah, no, for me, it would come, and so you're like, okay.
It happens.
Change.
It's the unpredictable. So I guess you're right.
Yeah.
Like let it go, change, move forward,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you it didn't fluster me,
of course,
it does, but it's a child. They have, what are they going to do? That's what they have to do at the time. So really teaches you, or should teach you. It may not to some people. And if it hasn't, then get your stuff together, because it's not them. Get your stuff together and just let it go. It's a child. It's such a wonderful energy of a child, right?
I agree.
So I remember it was funny because she used to do all these sayings, and I've learned so much from her even growing up. But I don't know where this came from one time, but I used to swim when I was young, and I actually had like first place for freestyle for the city of Chicago. I was like a big swimmer.
Amazing.
So I would tell her about that and tell her the stories about the swim team and all this other stuff. And then I think she was like 4 or 5, and I was like, I don't want to go swimming. It's going to mess up my hair, but I'll be at the pool, whatever. She turns around and she goes, what happened to the child in you, Mommy? What happened to the child? You're not allowing your child to come out. Your child would tell you to swim, and I'm like, oh, she's right. My child would tell me to just enjoy myself.
Right.
And so your child will also teach you things that maybe you've lost along the way that are so beautiful about yourself. So look for those too, right? Yeah. Look for those too in when they're sometimes showing you to do it a different way. It may be something that you've lost along the way. That fun part of yourself, right?
Yeah, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
That was so sweet. It kind of brings me into my next question. Your spirituality, it's a big part of who you are. You said you meditate, you practice manifestation. What have you implemented into your daughter's life, right? And like growing up and stuff, like were you trying to like sort of teach her that, or kind of show her, set the foundation? What was that like?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I think I'm one, like, you live it and then, kind of show it by example. Mm-hmm. But she is definitely, through that period, I was growing a lot and really checking myself and learning. Like I hope I'm becoming a better person as I go. But one of the things I remember, and this is an example, is the use of language. And it wasn't because of her. It was just me. The use of language and the power of words and the energy that they give, and how they affect other people and how they affect yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I was going through that process prior to her being born, and then very much when she was little. And she would turn around and check me. Like, for example, what's a good example? Like, I'm so tired today. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm so tired today. I'm in such a bad mood. I don't know how I'm going to handle all this. She would check me. It's like, is that what you want to put out, Mommy? That you're so tired and that you're in a bad mood? You're going to make everybody in a bad mood. Remember your words. You have to check your words.
Wow.
I'd be like, oh, she's listening to everything, right? She's learning from everything.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that I was necessarily, telling her this is the way it has to be. But I can tell you she learned a double, because she is very much that way.
Yeah.
She really measures her words and the power of the words. So I was learning that at the time. I try to be really thoughtful with, kind of my words, because I do know they have so much power.
They do.
They have so much power. And it, quickly changes your mindset. What you say quickly changes your mindset and then affects, kind of everything else that you do, and people around you too.
Yeah.
But she would check me. So for me, that's spiritual, because I believe your energy is spiritual, right? And that's kind of what you radiate and kind of what you are. Not what you say you are, but what you are.
Right.
And she would, like, check on me. She'd come back and I'd go, this little kid, oh my gosh, she's been listening to everything. And so it was good for me because I couldn't get away with saying one thing and being, a different way. It had to be aligned.
Very much so, yeah.
Very much aligned. And so it was interesting. So again, watch, because your kids are absorbing everything that you are saying and are doing. And if they see you say one thing and be a different way, you're teaching them to do the same. And some kids may not be as verbal or as vocal as mine was. Mine felt very comfortable being that way, which I'm glad, but they're picking up on what you're doing, and so a lot of times we blame our kids and are like, oh, that kid, I don't know where they grew up. Well, they got it from somewhere,
Yeah, that's facts.
So
I feel like, honestly, like from a spiritual standpoint, I think she was sent to you. Like you mentioned, she chose you, but I think she chose you. She's supposed to be with you for this reason. I don't know if there's like a life lesson or something that's supposed to be learned here, or you're supposed to have someone, like you said, that checks you in that way.
Yeah.
But I think this was meant to happen. Like she was meant to come into your life and be that person for you.
Yeah.
And I love that.
I think kids are. I think they're meant to come into our lives, and they're meant to be that person for us. And we're meant to be, whoever we are for them as well, right? I do believe that. I mean, on the spiritual side, I believe that wholly, good or bad, unfortunately, right? And who are we to judge what is really bad, right? But yeah, I think all of us as parents, I think when you think of it that way, it makes you a little bit more accepting also of the different situations that you're put in, hopefully.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I'm super spiritual too. Like I do incorporate like a little bit of like my like Catholicism, right? I do have my beliefs in there that I still carry. I'm trying to teach my daughter. But I mean, I'm such a big like universe girly. I mean, I just love manifestation, right? I love practicing gratitude. I love meditation.
Every
I think
day,
all of these are so important.
Yes. And I still, the one thing also, you have to know your child and how to communicate and even argue with them or discuss, right? So I share this with people that my daughter's got a high IQ. She's pretty smart. And I learned early on that I was not going to force her, like, no, you have to do this early on, because she would come back to me, very respectful. She's never been disrespectful, actually, but would say, well, what about this, this, and that? So I've learned, like, the way we communicate or whatever is, I don't tell her, no, it has to be this way. Did you see this study? Like, this is going on. Did you see this? Like, blah, blah, blah. And no, but did you see this study? She'll come back to me.
Wow.
And I saw this. And so we kind of go back and forth a little bit like that. And I'm learning from her and she's learning, or I'll send her, something that I see maybe on social media or that I read about or something. This just came out, something to think about. She's like, oh, you're right. This is good. Something to think about. So that's the way I have to communicate with her. That's how I've learned what works with her. And her friends that she surrounds herself with, are also very smart. She's got a little group. She went to University of Michigan. People don't like Michigan, don't say anything. And so she's got her little group of friends. Michigan has this alumni. They just like stick together. And they're very nice, nice kids and, very respectful and everything. But it's not like you can say, no, you have to think this way, right?
Totally.
They're smart. They give me the data, give me the facts, what's the evidence, right? And I love it because it also helps me learn. And so you have to learn what's the best way to communicate early on. I think with your child, you'll start seeing it, what's the best way. And some kids will say, okay, got it. And we'll just do it. And maybe they're not doing it. And so you got to figure out, okay, it looked like they were saying yes, but they were doing something different. So how do I reach that, level where they're actually, right, accepting what I'm giving them or not? Maybe there's a reason why they're not. So figuring out how to communicate is like a huge, huge thing.
I couldn't agree more. So what about, advice or something that you would give to a mom that is really going through it in the trenches, with a child, a young kid, whatever you want to say, But also, still trying to balance her career. Maybe she's still in school like you were, you know what I mean? And obviously a marriage and just a lot of things in her life, right? And she is drowning. What would you tell, either yourself or, your like yourself back then, so like rewind 20 years ago, or just a new mom listening today? What advice would you give?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with, finding some time by yourself and just crying about it. I mean, it's okay.
Release it, please.
Just release it. You know what? Yeah. It's okay. It's okay because it's tough out there. But then after you're done like crying, and it's okay to be, that way and to feel really bad and lousy, then you kind of have to look yourself in the mirror and this whole thing about affirmations and stuff, it really does work. But also try to see a life after that. What really helped me is that I had I script, right? Writing down not what you're in and not what your problems are and how you're going to solve these problems, but what you would like your life to look like. And I know it sounds like everybody says it, really see yourself in that life. So, taking that time to allow yourself, just like you allowed yourself to cry, because it's painful. Sometimes life is so painful and everything is hitting you. I went through that same period. Everything. I had to, divorce, had to move at the time, had a small child. You have to manage, everything. You're trying to finish school. You feel horrible about yourself. You feel like you sometimes feel worthless. I mean, that's the truth because
very much so.
And I mean, I think it's easy to fall into the trap that, why am I going through this? But I can tell you that you're probably going through it because you're going to come out of it so much better. You're going to come out of it with lessons and strength that the majority of people don't have. And it's going to make you really, really powerful. And so visualizing what that looks like and feeling it, feeling yourself in there. Give yourself that moment or 5 minutes, even if it is, to dream about that, to be in that state and dream it and really enjoy it. And that's what helped me pull through because I knew that I was going to get over to the other side. It didn't happen right away. It actually took a couple of years, to get there. And I'm not, like, for example, with that, at the time, I couldn't even really talk about it to the outside, even to my family, because I had to be strong for my family, because our families depend on us too,
yes,
just like we're depending on them. And so we don't want them to fall. And so a lot of us hold a lot of that in. So if you have to go lock yourself in the room for 10 minutes and just cry your eyes out, and then come out, do whatever you have to do, but also allow yourself that little time to dream and then that will pull you through in the long run. And it may not come right away, and stop asking when it's going to come. Again, let that go.
Yes.
Because the more you focus on that, the more you stay in the hole that you're in, because you're focusing on the hole. You can't focus on the hole. You've got to focus on that dream that you want to create and that you want to build. And the strife that you're going through is helping you build a foundation. So when you get to where you want to be, you have the strength to stay there. Because that's the other thing. Remember, there's a lot of people, oh my God, they're doing these great things. And, maybe you see them, they're stars or they're the heads of this and that, but they don't have the stability or the foundation to stay there, and then they fail. In your heart, understand that because you've gone through all this stuff, you're going to have that foundation and you're going to be strong and powerful and you're not going to fail. Those good things that are definitely coming for you, that you're being prepared for, you're going to be able to handle them, because that's also something that you have to handle. I mean, that.
100%.
Yeah. So that would be my advice.
I think it's beautiful
advice.
Yeah,
that would be my advice.
Because it's authentic and it's real, and I want moms to know, dads too, but like I just want you to know, like, it's okay to feel these feelings. You know, don't mask it. It only gets worse. Ask for help if you need it. Like you said, like use your tools, like like meditating, any kind of dreaming, any kind of just kind of realign. Right? It's about realigning yourself. And I know it's hard. I know with a kid it is hard, right? Especially a baby who needs you. Right? This person needs you.
Yes.
But I really try to encourage people to like remember to take care of themselves. I do. New parents, you have to.
Yeah, you have to. And you have to figure out a way, physically also to take care of yourself, right? Because there's the spiritual, the mental, but the physical. And, is there a way that you can work out with your child, right? How much do they weigh? 10 pounds, and there you go. Lift them up and down. That'll work your arms.
That's
and
true.
You try to figure out a way to combine it, because they'll also be seeing that you're trying to be healthy.
Yeah. My husband's really big on that. I'm like, I got to get better. He's a fireman, so he's fit as hell.
Oh,
and like me, I was like, I'm going to take some time off. Woo, woo, woo. No, my ass is back in the gym now. Like I hit a place where I was like, I just want to want to be healthier, feel good and all of that. So like, I want her to see like we are a family that works out. I didn't have that growing up. My mom was always fit. She's very thin, but we never were like workout kind of people. And I wish we were. My husband's family is, and they all look great.
Yeah, no, and it's good, right? It makes you feel better too.
I think much better.
It makes you, I think, be able to take on so much more when you physically feel good.
Couldn't agree more.
Even going out for the walk. I have the podcast, right?
Yes, we got to talk about that.
Chic Innovator, and I just interviewed Dr. Lemke, and she's a sleep therapist.
Oh, wow.
And one of the things she said, which, got me, and I think it's so important for moms too, is just going out and getting a little bit of sun every day. Yes. Even when it's foggy outside, or even when it's snow, or stand by the window, because that vitamin D will help you then at night when you're trying to rest.
Yes.
It'll allow you to relax. If you don't have that balance, in your system, then you may have problems sleeping, which will then affect everything else.
100%. When I had my baby in April, I couldn't really walk in April because she was really small, and also it was kind of cold. But summer came around. Oh, we were walking outside. I mean, it's an activity for you to get out the house, especially with a newborn. But then number two, like, we're all winning, right? She gets fresh air. I get fresh air. We're all good. I'm getting exercise. I'm getting vitamin D. So I think that's important to move your body in that way.
Yes. It's important.
I love it. So before we go, and before we let everybody know where to follow you, where to find you, do you have anything? Because you just had your Runway Latinx fashion show. So that happened because it's always for Hispanic Heritage Month every year. But what do you have coming up for
And we were the closing event for Chicago Fashion Week.
Oh, you were?
Which was really great. Yeah, which was a big deal for me.
Huge.
So we were very happy. We exceeded all our goals. We sold out and had more people than we've ever had, and so it was very successful. And thank you to the media, thank you to you, for everyone's support. And so that was successful. So the Chic Innovator is a podcast that hopefully we can have you on, Miss.
I would love to. Are you kidding?
Give
me the day and time, and I'm there.
Yeah, and so it's actually officially launching on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and anywhere we can be on January 8th. And then I'm going to have an official event. Hopefully you can come at the end of February. I think it's February 27th.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And so we'll have some of the people that are on the podcast, and I'm excited about it. We've got, you have to have a certain amount of interviews so that you can just release and roll. And I'm learning so much about that. I've had a lot of friends really urge me to do it. I'll be talking as well, just kind of having a conversation with people, but I'm also interviewing people. I have a lot of friends that, they call me for advice on different things, right? On either fashion or on
You're that friend.
Even etiquette, whatever, and if I don't know it, I try to get the information on being an entrepreneur, et cetera. And so they had been urging me for a while to do it, and I'm excited about it because I've got the privilege to know people like you who are amazing, incredible individuals that are doing so many great things. And I want to share that with people because, again, we all learn from each other, 100%. Right? And so, and we learn by example. I mean, honestly, so I've got that privilege and I want to share that with people. Some fantastic people that we've had on. And I'm learning so much. And then I want to share some of the tips and things like that I know that, again, some of it through much strife have learned, right?
Yes.
But we want to share with each other so we can all learn from each other and kind of be that village, that team, right, for each other.
The village. I love it. Bring it right back. Well, thank you for being here with us today. What's your social media handles we can follow you?
Yeah. So my personal one is Arabel22 on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, and then The Chic Innovator. If everyone can follow, we're kind of on everything. We're building that up, but subscribe so that when we launched, then you're able to listen to us. So The Chic Innovator, yeah.
The Chic Innovator, and we will be following along. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And if they want fashion, go to Runway Latinx.
All year long, though.
Yes.
You guys are active all year.
Yes.
So it's there. So follow all 3 pages now. That's your homework assignment.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you for being here with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you. So fun. Thank you so much. Thanks.